So bar chords, as you know, are a real pain, and they literally hurt. Let me just tune this back up again. First thing I would say is, like, sometimes I think people rush to get to playing bar chords. It is a slightly more advanced technique, so if you're not ready, don't try and do it. So if you can play normal chords, like open chords like G and D, A minor, C, all those ones, if you're good at them and they are comfortable, then move on to bar chords. But if you're not comfortable with them, if it's still a struggle to get your open shapes down, don't try bar chords, all right? And if there's a song you're trying to learn which insists you need a bar chord in it, go and learn another song. That's my advice. It's important to take things at the right stage that you're doing it at. If you try and rush ahead all the time, you end up going nowhere. So just be realistic with yourself. And if you're good at open chords, if you're pretty smooth at changing all these kind of positions and shapes, then you can maybe try bar chords. The first thing I would learn if I was learning bar chords is I wouldn't even do a full bar chord. I would learn a power chord first. So typical power chord is you put your finger, say, on the first fret on the lower E string, third finger on the third fret on the A string, and then your little finger, if you can, on the third fret on the D string. And you just play those three like that, and get good at holding that shape. And then from there you can slide that around all over the fretboard, that same sort of chord shape, and that's the first step. The other thing to do, like if that's starting to feel a bit more comfortable, is to tackle the other half of the chord. So on a bar chord, you do something like this, where you're supposed to put a bar across, say, the whole first fret, and then hold down the rest of the chord like that. That's effectively an E shape slid up. Put the bar on. Now, instead of going for the full bar chord, if you're not ready, go for the top half. Put your fingers, your first finger across the first two strings, just those two, just the E and the B string, just to like a mini half bar, and first of all, see if you can get those two notes sounding good. And then, if you can, stretch your second finger across to the second fret, and now play those three strings. So you've got a little mini major chord. And practice sliding that around. Just wherever. This is just for exercise, this isn't really songs. But once you get used to being able to do a little bar, then the next stage is a little easier. If you are ready to go for the full bar chord, then I salute you, well done. It might be feeling quite painful on your first finger, on the finger you're trying to bar with, and that could be because you're putting it directly flat across the flat of your finger, and you're trying to hold all the pressure on the strings with just that. So what you might want to do is actually angle your finger slightly, so turn it slightly into the guitar, so it's a slightly more down that edge, which is actually applying the pressure, and that might be a little bit more comfortable, hopefully. So you see my finger there, it looks like it's just totally flat across it, but actually it's all along there, slightly on the edge is where I'm actually holding the pressure of the strings. So that might take away a little bit of the tension. Another tip, now this is confusing because you see guitarists all the time holding something like that and playing bar chords where they've got their thumb hooked over. Don't do that in the beginning, that's for later on when you're a superstar. In the beginning, make sure your thumb is right at the back of the neck. Alright, like that. Planted at the back of the neck, pointing straight up the ceiling. Clamp down the chord, so you're sort of clamping like that. And that's good even just, not just for bar chords, just in general, especially at the beginning stage of learning guitar. Okay, so another thing that is, how do you shift around when you've got bar chords? So the first thing is, you just got to get used to playing one bar chord. And then worry about moving it. If you can't play one, you're not going to play 2 and 3 and 4. So just really focus on getting one down. Knowing where to go is the secret. So it's all about your first finger. If I'm playing an F bar chord, I know it's F because I know fret 1 on the low E string is F, and that's the root of the chord. So if I want to start moving stuff around, I need to know where I'm going. So let's say I'm going to G. I need to know that G is the 3rd fret. So I don't worry about moving all my fingers and think, oh, that finger's got to move up 2, and that's got to move up 2, and that's got to move up. I just think about the first finger's got to move up 2, and the shape stays the same. And that's the beauty of bar chords, really. So you can just, you're not thinking in terms of lots of fingers changing positions, you're just thinking of where does the first finger have to get to. And that will help you sort of shift around a little bit. One more little thing to say about if you're strumming with bar chords, moving around. If you've got pretty good at doing one, and it sounds nice, and now you're trying to move it around to other places, try, when you move around, just lift your fingers off a little bit. Don't bring your whole hand too far off the fretboard. Don't come all the way off the strings so you start to hit open strings. Practice playing a chord, lifting your hand off just enough, not hard anything, so the strings are still they're dampened, and just practice doing that. So play the chord, dampen it. And when you get sort of feel good like that, then you slide along while the strings, your fingers are touching the strings, making them damp, and then put it down in the next position, wherever that is. Okay, so just a little tip, try not to come too far off the frets, just keep it nice and tight, sliding on the strings. And you're going to hear this scratching sound, but that's okay. You can even sort of play to your advantage with that. Lots of songs actually use that as a cool little trick. So there you go, that's my advice on bar chords.